Today, let's look at 7 food shortages we need to prepare for in 2024. So it is a brand new year, 2024, and we still have lots of craziness on the horizon. And I think we need to be looking at different food shortages and make sure we're prepared once things really get going this year. So I put together a list of things and that I have seen around the internet that people are talking about different kinds of food shortages. And I want to remind people that all food shortages do not look the same. Just because there's a shortage doesn't mean there's zero on the shelf. We may still find these items, but they may get so expensive that we just cannot afford them. And we all know over the last couple of years, the prices have drastically increased. So when we go into the grocery stores and we see that the food is still there, but those prices are rising, the quicker we get that food, the sooner we put it in our pantries, the better off we're going to be throughout the year. So either when it's not there or when you just can't afford it. So let's look at these 7 foods that I think we need to be watching and looking at and making sure that we have plenty of them in stock in our pantries. So the first one is meats and poultries. There have been all kinds of regulation changes and all kinds of shipping issues and all sorts of issues all around for the last couple of years. And we've seen drastic increases on meat prices. And I think that's going to continue this year. They're still pushing more regulations and more changes and all that stuff down in DC. So I really think that's something that we have to pay attention to, is making sure we have plenty of meats and proteins in our pantries so we're not caught short later on in the year when things start to get worse. The next thing that we really need to make sure that we have in our pantries is grains. The shortage on grains has shown through and through across the last couple of years, and we are still seeing problems with it, whether it's not there or it's just the prices are just jumping like crazy. So making sure we've got that in the pantry for the cheapest price possible is super important. So we've got that. When we can't afford it or we can't find it, it'll be there in your pantry if you get that stocked up now. And not just rice, but also oats, cornmeal, things like that, having those type of things, because that way you can still make the meals that you want. And you want to make sure you've got plenty of stuff to make nutritious, healthy meals to keep your family right on track where they should be. The third one is seafood. We have been seeing all kinds of craziness with seafood here in Maine. We've seen them pushing for different types of regulations. There are problems, with all sorts of stuff in the ocean. You can see all kinds of seafood issues. And we need to make sure that if that's something that you enjoy and like to keep in your diet, because those healthy fats are just really good for you, and seafood has lots of great nutrition. If you're a seafood eater, I would definitely be stocking up the best you can on those type of items. Number 4 is fresh produce. Fresh produce is one of those things that, it is great in the summertime. It really seems like everything is good, especially if you are growing stuff. That's a great time to get it. You have the opportunity to go to local farmers markets. But as you can see behind me, we're not growing any vegetables or anything up here right now. So when you go to the grocery store, and we've seen this over the last couple years, either the produce is horrible or there's not a very good selection. Here in our area, we are still seeing all kinds of gaps and holes, and we're definitely seeing less and less of the exotic fruits that aren't grown here locally. So, like dragon fruits and anything like that, pineapples. The things that are grown in those warmer places, we're just not seeing that much of it. And so we can still find it, but it's not really that affordable. But we need this in our diet. So making sure that we've got fruits, vegetables, all those fresh produce items. I like to freeze a lot of our fresh produce because it gives it that fresh taste, and we really love that. And or home canned is a little bit better, I think, in my opinion, than the store can. But if you don't can, just stocking up on them is super important. Buying the canned ones, get what you can, definitely, because as this progresses and things get crazier, and we know this election year, things are going to get crazier. There's no denying that. It always gets a little nutso, and people are much more brazen than they used to be. So making sure we've got that produce and things so we have that nutrition in our pantries is super important. And number 5, dairy. Dairy we have seen all over the place the last couple of years. It's way up, it comes down a little bit, goes up higher. I mean, sometimes there's none in the store, and not just milk. I'm talking butter, cheese, all of those dairy products that we normally keep in our homes. It's something that we normally eat in our diets, and I think they're important to have. Cheese freezes very well, usually, most cheeses. So you can get those ahead and put them in the freezer. And if you buy blocks of cheese, a lot of times you can get it a lot cheaper and just shred it yourself. It's really simple and easy to do. And you can get that banked up in the freezer so you have extra. And also, you know, powdered milks, powdered butter, powdered sour cream, all that sort of stuff. Those are so important, especially if you're doing more cooking and baking at home. You need to make sure you've got the ingredients that you're going to need to cook that food. So having those stocked up in the pantry when the food shortages get worse and worse, we may still see it on the shelf, but it could be so expensive that we just can't get it. And number 6, eggs. Eggs are another thing that have been crazy. In 2023, we saw the highest egg prices ever, and they were just ridiculously expensive. Having those are super important. You need them for your baked goods. They're a wonderful protein. There's so many things you can do with eggs. I think they are a must-have in your pantry, whether you are preserving farm fresh eggs yourself, or if you're buying freeze-dried or dehydrated. You can dehydrate them yourself. It's really a simple process to do. Making sure you have those eggs in there so you can still bake the things you want to bake, make the meals you want to make. With all the stuff that's going on, we can definitely see more of the diseases and avian flu and whatever they want to call it. It can definitely affect us more and more, and I think that's something we need to keep an eye on. Eggs are definitely something that we use a lot of in our kitchen because we use them in so many different things that we make. And number 7 is spices. Spices are definitely on the rise. The price of them is going up, and when the less we have, the more expensive they're going to be. Making sure we have those, so important. Spices are a huge thing in your pantry because not only do they flavor your foods, most of them have great medicinal properties, and you can make your own medicine with them. You can season your food with them, you know, just helping with inflammation with, you know, turmeric and pepper. Having those two together is going to help you with inflammation, and inflammation causes a lot of problems in our body, and just slipping that into meals whenever we can is a great thing for us. So making sure we've got those spices, I think those are going to be one of the biggest things because there have been wars fought over spices. So many crazy things have happened, and with the way everything's going in this country, where, you know, shortages, inflation, everything. We have to watch all of this stuff and be prepared for it because as tight as things are right now, I don't see it getting any better. I do see it getting a little bit worse. So I'd love to say 2024 is going to be a great improvement, but the reality is my brain keeps telling me, buckle up, baby, because it's time to really buckle up. And that is it for my 7 food shortages that I think that we need to keep track of this year. We need to get on top of them and be ahead of the game, because if those prices continue to rise and we see less and less in the store, it can be detrimental to our family. And it may be just your favorite thing it's missing, but one of those things can cause a chain reaction for other things. Most of the foods in the store have spices and herbs and things like that in them for flavoring. And, you know, when they are not able to get them or they are so expensive that things start getting dropped, Those are the things we really need to worry about. Grains are going to be a problem because of all the weather problems we've had, wars going on, craziness happening throughout the world, shipping issues. The shipping has never really been fixed. I mean, it's a little better than it was, but it's not fixed. We still have problem with shipping and all that stuff. So taking all these things into account is really important to make sure our families have what they need. Getting ahead of it can help all of us. And you don't have to go out and spend $1 billion. You can really stock up inexpensively, a little bit at a time, just keeping at it the best you can. I hope you all are having an amazing day and things are going well for you at the moment. And I'm outside today as much as I can be. It's almost 40 degrees and I am just loving this warmer weather. I know a lot of people think 40 is cold, but here in Maine, this is nice. Bundle up a little bit and head outside. Definitely get whatever you can done outside and get that fresh air. And I love to be outside. So every chance I get. And that's it for today. I hope you enjoyed this video and I hope to see you next time. Bye.